Let's bring in Professor Anand Menon. He's from King's College London. He's also, of course, Director of the UK in a Changing Europe and a good friend of the programme. Anand, good to see you. Robert Peston from the other side had a very good blog on this today. It seems to me to be much on the money, especially when you consider the reaction that there has been to the Sunday Times front page. He says the economic case for forging a better trading relationship with the EU is straightforward and obvious. The politics is completely toxic.
No, I think that's totally spot on. And the fact is that if you're someone who's worried about sovereignty, having a Swiss or a Norwegian type deal that is being under EU rules whilst not a member state is almost worse than being a member state, in the sense that as a member state you get a say over rules. As a rule taker you don't. And with the Swiss style arrangement that was in the Sunday Times article, the UK would to an extent become a rule taker, and that would be problematic politically, I think.
But the problem is, there's a lot of people here who think this would be advantageous to both sides. And as I understand it, the European Union doesn't like the Swiss deal either.
No, I mean, there are two things to say about the EU side. Firstly, you're absolutely right. The Swiss deal isn't a deal. It's a set of 120-odd bilateral arrangements they've negotiated over many, many years. And the EU hates them. The EU has spent much of the last few years trying to persuade the Swiss to rationalise this set of treaties, because they're finding it very, very hard to sort of keep on top of what the different documents say. So they don't like it. But secondly, the EU aren't automatically going to give the UK what it is we ask for, because they'll ask for things in return. So it's not simply a case of saying to the European Union, we'd like better trade, can you give us X or Y? Because they'll turn around to us and say, maybe, but you might want to think about giving us A and B in return. And at that point, it becomes problematic. And politics on the EU side will intrude as well.
But given the economic imperative, which you just discussed, for both sides probably, for trade at a time when there's a cost of living crisis and our economies across the European zone are struggling, is it likely then that maybe these individual deals will be done with the UK?
I think it's very unlikely. I think it's very unlikely partly because you saw the pushback from Brexiters in the Conservative Party when this story broke. They're very concerned about it and will be very angry if something like this if negotiations on something like this start. And on the EU side, I think they're A, slightly suspicious of the UK at the moment, and B, aren't simply going to give us things because we asked for them, but we'll ask for quid pro quos that will make it politically even more difficult here, I would suspect.
On the issue of migration, which we were just discussing, what is in place to fill the skills gap with regards to labour from the European Union?
Well, labour from the European Union now can come to the country under the same terms as labour as from anywhere else. That's to say, one of the key missions of the Leave campaign was to equalise the terms under which migrants could come here. So what that means is skilled Europeans who meet the salary threshold and have jobs here can come here every bit as easily as Indians or Nigerians. One of the things that we found post-Brexit is that those people that don't qualify, might be seasonal agricultural workers, for instance, have not been able to come in. And that's why in some sectors of the economy, such as that, we've seen labour shortages.
Luciana, is it right